How did your collaboration with Makkum start out?
Okay, it starts, I think. I had a show with in Paris with a label I had called So, and I need some on that moment need buttons with the a line on it who said one of us. So I love to have them in porcelain. So I get to the factory Royal Tichelaar and ask him to do this kind of thing for me. But on that moment it was too expensive. So the guy who was responsible for the PR saying, I can make them for you for 30 euros or something. So I said, no, that's impossible, that's too expensive. And later on, one of the other guy, I don't know, in the factory itself, said there was a guy like me in your house and asked for these buttons, and we asked 30 euros for him. And on that moment he called me. He said, that's nonsense. Or no, not on that moment, a year later. He said, oh, it was a ridiculous meeting we had. So let's start again. What can I do for you? And I asked, can you make nice buttons for me? Because I love those porcelain buttons and nobody has them. And I can claim them for my own clothes. And that was the beginning of the collaboration with the Tichelaar.
Why did you choose Tichelaar?
Especially because it is, I think, the oldest family in profession, how do you say it, in Holland. And they're even older than our royal family. And the interesting thing is that the mentality of the workmanship is still from the beginning, and of course it changed a little, still the same. So the same quality. And that's quite special in Holland. I don't know another firm who has this quality in still on the same level they have.
And can you describe that quality?
Yeah, I'm not a specialist, don't forget. So, but what I see, if I see the how they work in the factory itself, if you talk about the clay itself, for example, or for about the painters, it's still so full of workmanship and handcraft and those kind of things. So, and how they use the paints in the blue quality. It's amazing how they do it. It's that for me quite special. I can't describe with somebody else, but let's take Delft. Then I think Delft is much more plain comparing when you see the work of Jan.
Yeah. And does that relate? How does it relate to your
own work?
Your own work as a fashion designer.
Now, especially the handwork and the craftsmanship. For me, it's the design is of course important, but the people who makes it are even important. And that's what you see in this by Jan and by my clothes is the same. So I love it that you can see that it's handworked from Romania, for example. You can see the feeling of it. And for me, it's a special gift. It's a new kind of luxury. You really can make something special for somebody, completely handworked. So if you buy something, then it is more special than, how do you say it, massa, whatever, production.
Is there a sort of resistance to mass production for you in this as well?
No, not really. No.
So what's so bad about mass production then?
It's not bad, but if you can do it differently, and for me it's quite luxurious to do it, then I prefer this. The thing is, if you talk about design, for example, is that when you take the tradition in Holland about fashion, there wasn't, not at all. And actually, of course there were designers, but more couture kind of designers. And the thing is, if you talk about that, is that in that period, for example, we start in the 50s with couture, is that they said on that moment, even you can see it in advertisement, is that the fashion is from Paris. They're all over the world. You only talk about Paris. Paris is fashion. So we didn't have at all in this tradition only workmanship, as of course we had, but about fashion we didn't. So the only thing what we had is, and especially is the if you talk about design or about then we're talking in Holland more about architecture or graphic designers, not about fashion or product designers. So if you have yourself to explain to the world that you are a fashion designer, for me, of course, because I'm from Holland, then I have to explain something more. I have to say I come from a different background. My background is architecture, is graphic design. That is what I had. Because if I compare myself or as Dutch designer with the French or the Italians, they have histories behind them. They only talk about for ages about fashion. So the development in this part of fashion is much bigger than in Holland. Now, let's say 20 or 25 years ago, it's already maybe 20 years ago, it starts, the fashion. So now the world look at the Dutch designers and they take it seriously. But in the past it wasn't, not at all. So you need this history to explain yourself to the world you're from Holland. That's strange, but actually you all need it. You need a background to show the world because your territory is not only Holland, it's the whole world. So you show yourself as an Italian designer, a French designer, and in my case, as a Dutch designer. So you take something behind you. And don't forget, is on school, your education is all about Rietveld, Rembrandt, Vermeer. You need this to give yourself a kind of aura or whatever with this kind of feeling of design or art.
So is that the reason why, if you can explain about your flower pyramid, why Rietveld, can you talk about that part of the pyramid to start with?
Rietveld is not one of the most clearest in modernism thinking. And we are really this kind of country who talk about minimalism or about modernism. So what I thought about to start with this pyramid is to start with him. Let's start with Rietveld because that's really the base of this way of thinking. The thing is with this, Jan asked me to make this kind of thing, but for me it was quite important to do something with the human body, or it has to relate to the human body. So I came up to this makeup table. I hope it's right what I say, it's the right word. And that's the reason why it's stable, all those elements of the makeup table. So you need a table, you need a chair, you need something to put your pearls inside, your jewelry, you need your powder case, how do you say it? Those, a parfum you need. So I make them stable of all those kind of elements. And because I had the tradition that I'm Dutch, and I thought it is nice to start in modernism because to start with Rietveld and start with his table. And typical about Rietveld's table is that it is built up out of wooden sticks, and to do it on a quite modern build-up squared table. The forms are quite simple. Now, the nice thing about Rietveld, there's no upsmuk. There's nothing. It's clear, clean. That's the reason why it's all about the composition of something. When you see his houses, it's all about squares, composition. When you see a table or a chair, it's not comfortable at all, but it get all about the simple kind of lines and build-ups. And for me, if you talk about why Rietveld, I think it's one of the Mondrian as well, of course, one of really the start of the way of even now you still can see it, the way of thinking we do in Holland.
Yeah, why is it Dutch?
Now, it's so without anything. It's so, well, even if you talk about droog design, for example, you know this, guys, or you talk about the school in the Eindhoven design, you still see this kind of simpleness. It's all about this way of thinking. When you compare this, for example, with the Italians, it's completely different, or the French, it's different. Yeah, it's so much more conceptual. That's the thing. That's really important, I think, for a lot of designers in Holland, to be conceptual.
If you start think about the decoration you use on the flower pyramid, which is a reference to a material
it's a reference of the ribbings.
Okay.
If you pack something, you see those ribbons around the packing, and I did it in silver, so it is a weaving ribbon all over the vase itself.
But that also has to do something with these same lines as Mondrian use, or is it really a
it's more a fashion thing. But even when you see it, of course, when you see it on the end is maybe, but still all the forms inside, except a few, are quite simple.
And clear.
And clear, I think. Yeah. For me, it's clear.
And why did you want to make pearls of Makkum? How did you come to that? Does that has a story behind it? The pearls?
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, okay. So the nice thing about the pearls is really. Then I talk about the 17th century, about the Vermeer. I was always impressed about this girl. He painted with a pearl on the ear. So. On the moment I did these buttons, for example, or the perfume with Jan, is that I always thought, if I get the chance, I will make this kind of pearl in porcelain. That's actually, I always want to do this. And next to it, the pearls of the necklaces, they did on the same on the same time, because the idea of pearls was because of this kind of paintings. The nice thing about pearls, it's the same as gold or jewelry. It's really a jewelry thing. It's luxurious to have a pearl. That's what I always liked about these porcelain pearls. And I love to make this name the Parels van Makkum. It's mine idea. The nice thing about this factory from Jan is that for me that's more luxurious than any big brand, for example. If you take Prada or Louis Vuitton, the label they had, and it's they say this label, we are luxurious. The nice thing about this kind of product Jan made, or the Tichelaars made, is that that's for me really luxurious, because it's handwork from the beginning. And they really build, even if you talk about a vase or whatever, they really give you a gift who's really completely handmade gift. And that's for me, now in the moment, more luxurious than a massa production, for example, like Louis Vuitton, where you have thousands of those kind of things. You pay a lot of money, and actually you pay the name, but not the product. And Jan still gives you the product. And that's for me really luxurious. Now, the lovely thing is that if you talk about knitting, for example, in the 70s, it was kind of, if you knit a sweater for somebody, it was really a poor kind of thing. It was not, to buy a nice sweater was much more expensive, and it was much more luxurious. But nowadays, it's completely the way around. If I knit something for somebody, then I really give him a gift. I did it myself with my hands and give you really a thing. It's more luxurious than to buy something. And that is Jan doing, actually. That is constantly everything is, even the smallest is with this idea and this handcraft feeling.
And why is that it reversed?
It is more expensive. The time is more expensive. We are more aiming or more looking for those kind of special things because the nicest thing is what you can see on the moment is that you compare it a little bit with food. Because food nowadays all biologic and we did it all for ages, for example. But nowadays, the last 10 years, it is luxurious. To buy this kind of stuff, it's better, the taste is better, and it is healthier. And 30 years ago, it was normal to produce this kind of thing, or 40 years ago, and nowadays, it's special to make it on this way. And that's strange. And I like it, is that it is because of the taste and the feeling, it's more luxurious. And for example, with Jan, with this kind of thing, maybe it's, how do you say it, is that the lovely thing is that maybe on a moment they start with this factory, it was quite normal to produce the hand kind of thing because there was nothing else in the moment. But still, in all those years, it's growing in a more luxurious kind of direction. What actually 100 years ago, or maybe 50 years ago, normal was, is now completely the way around. And that's the same what I said about the sweater.
Yeah, craftsmanship has become a luxurious thing.
Craftsmanship became much more luxurious, yeah. You have to pay more for it. That's the strange thing. And I'm very curious what kind of direction we were going, even with the crisis now, for example. You can feel it. You feel that people don't want to buy that much anymore. Not because they have to pay for it, but it's a little bit a waste. They start more to buy simple, smaller, less. For example, in houses nowadays, the luxurious kind of thing is about, you talk about an environment, not about things. You like to have it more simple, less is better than more. That really you can see in those houses.
And you think it will stay that way?
I think so. That's the same what I said about the food. You feel that there's a different, and there was a nice program by Oprah, and they said that was really lovely to see is that they took those houses by American people, and it was completely full with stuff, too many, and they make selections. They make the house empty, and on that period, it cost them less money, because you don't have to wash that much anymore. Give them more freedom, because you're not constantly busy with folding your handkerchiefs or whatever to put it in your carpet, whatever. So they give them more environment and more time to think about something else than to take care of your house. And that is something you have to see. It was beautiful to see what happened with people to react different with less stuff.
They became relaxed more.
Yeah, you're busy, because can you see those kitchens full with plates, full with everything? Make the half of it, and you're not that busy in your kitchen anymore. To put it all in your washing machines and put it out, and you're constantly busy with something.
The result is different from a machine and a...
Yeah, they're completely different, because when you take a machine, there's nothing against the machine, don't forget, but the only thing, it's different, and it's not that, for me, not that special, because if you take the hand knit, every stitch is different. Even when you're knitting very regular, still you can see that it's not that flat, it's more round. But that's...
And with the machine?
That flatter, how do you say it? You can see it that it's from a machine. And you can see it when it's from the hand.
Yeah. And it makes it more humane.
Yeah, for me more special. But you can feel the people behind a machine. The machine did it. Of course, there's somebody behind this machine, but still, it's different.